For decades, this little blue book was the ultimate VIP pass. You grabbed it, booked a flight, and the world was yours. But as of right now in 2026, the rules have completely flipped. I'm watching perfectly valid, unexpired US passports get people rejected at the boarding gate every single day. You probably think your passport is good to go because the expiration date says 2028 or 2030. You flip to the photo page, see your face, see a future date, and toss it in your bag. But what the airlines aren't warning you is that there are 3 silent new triggers, including Europe's mandatory pre-approval, digital borders, and the absolute chaos of the post-Real ID enforcement that are systematically stranding Americans at the airport. What you think you know about traveling abroad is officially outdated. In my 15 years navigating international aviation protocols and fielding frantic 3 a.m. calls from stranded tourists, I have never seen a landscape as unforgiving as 2026. It is genuinely gut-wrenching to watch a couple lose a $10 that is the other C of that anniversary trip to Italy because of a digital technicality they had absolutely no idea existed. The heartbreak is real. The financial loss is staggering, and the worst part is that it is entirely preventable. I know this sounds crazy and maybe a little intimidating, but stick with me. By the end of this video, you are going to be bulletproof against these new regulations. If you want to protect your hard-earned vacations and stay one step ahead of the airlines, hit that subscribe button right now, because I am exposing exactly what they bury in their fine print. Here is the brutal truth about the new era of travel. The concept of visa-free travel for Americans is effectively dead. For years, we bragged about our passport power. We could just show up in London, Paris, or Rome, get a stamp, and grab a croissant. But the game has changed. The UK's Electronic Travel Authorization, or ETA, is now fully live. And Europe's ETA system has officially slammed the door on spontaneous travel. You now need a pre-approved, paid digital permit to enter over 30 European countries. The golden era of just walking onto a plane to Europe with nothing but a passport is over. Now, you might be asking, isn't that just a quick form I can fill out on my phone while waiting in line at the gate? Absolutely not. That is exactly how 90% of people are failing this test. These new biometric entry systems cross-reference global security databases in real time. While some get approved in minutes, a massive chunk of applications are getting flagged for manual review. A manual review can take up to 96 hours, and in some cases, weeks. If you show up to check your bags without that digital approval linked to your passport chip, the gate agent literally cannot print your boarding pass. The system locks them out. Your flight leaves without you. And no, your premium travel insurance does not cover failure to obtain proper documentation. You eat the cost of the flights, the non-refundable hotels, the tours, everything. But it actually gets worse. The trap doesn't just spring when you're flying internationally. The problem is starting right here at home, at your local domestic TSA checkpoint. Think back to May of 2025. That was the final, hard deadline for the Real ID. The government finally put its foot down, and the grace periods are over. Now, in 2026, if you show up for a domestic flight to Florida, Texas, or California without a Real ID compliant driver's license, you are hit with a massive roadblock. You either get stuck paying a $45 TSA Confirm ID penalty fee to painfully verify your identity, or you are forced to use your passport. Here's where the domino effect destroys your international plans. Because millions of Americans procrastinated on the DMV lines, they are now carrying their delicate passport books in their back pockets just to fly to Chicago for the weekend. They are throwing them into gym bags, leaving them in hot rental cars, and using them as everyday ID at hotel bars. And here's the secret immigration officers do not advertise. Minor passport damage is now an automatic rejection at international borders. A slightly bent cover? A tiny water stain from water bottle condensation in your carry-on. A small tear on the photo page from pulling it in and out of your wallet 20 times a month? Gone are the days when a border agent would just shrug, smile, and scan it anyway. With the new 2026 automated e-gates and entry-exit system biometric scanners rolling out globally, human grace is out of the equation. If you have a damaged microchip or a slightly warped barcode, the machine simply cannot read it. The gate flashes red, the alarm sounds, and a human officer is going to pull you aside and put you on the next flight back to the United States. Your domestic travel convenience just cost you your international vacation. You are literally carrying a ticking time bomb in your pocket. But physical damage and missing digital permits are just the warm-up. That brings us to the most deceptive rule of them all. The one regulation that looks like a basic kindergarten math problem, but is actually a targeted trap for anyone who hasn't updated their passport strategy for this year. And it has to do with a silent clock ticking down on the exact day you are supposed to fly home. The trap I'm talking about is the dreaded 6-month validity rule. You look at your passport, and it says it expires in November of 2026. You are planning a 2-week dream trip to Thailand in May. May is obviously before November, so you are good to go, right? Wrong. You won't even make it past the check-in desk at your home airport. Here is the math formula the airlines are using right now, and it is strictly enforced by their automated booking systems. Dozens of countries require your passport to be valid for at least 6 months beyond the date you plan to leave their country. So, if you are flying back to the US on June 1st, your passport must be valid until at least December 1st. Because your expiration date is in November, the airline's computer system will automatically block the agent from issuing your boarding pass. There is no override button. There is no manager they can call. You are legally inadmissible. But here is the real kicker. Even if your expiration date is perfectly fine, there is a physical requirement inside the book that is destroying European vacations right now in 2026. It all comes down to the chaotic rollout of Europe's new biometric entry-exit system, or EEES. The long-running shift from physical stamping to digital tracking was supposed to make things smoother, but the transition has spawned a massive compliance headache. Because the digital scanners are prone to going offline or malfunctioning at major hubs like Brussels and Paris, border guards are legally reserving the right to fall back on physical stamps. To account for this, airlines have rebriefed their check-in staff with a very strict mandate. If you are heading to the Schengen area, your passport must have at least 2 entirely blank visa pages facing each other. Let me be perfectly clear about what blank means. I am not talking about the endorsement pages at the very back of the book. Those do not count. I am talking about the actual pages designated for visas and stamps. If you have a tiny entry stamp from a weekend trip to Mexico in the corner of a page, that page is officially dead to a European border agent. Now, you might be thinking, no problem. Sarah, I'll just mail it in and pay the fee to have a few extra pages sewn in. That is a massive misconception. The U.S. State Department completely eliminated the ability to add extra pages years ago. You cannot just top it off. If you are out of clean, facing pages, your current passport is completely useless for international travel, even if it is valid until 2030. You have to apply for a brand new passport book. If you are grabbing your passport out of your drawer right now to count your blank pages and realizing you only have one left, hit that like button so I know I am not the only one who is panicked over this. And if this video is saving your upcoming trip, make sure you subscribe because the airlines are definitely not sending out courtesy emails about these specific enforcement crackdowns. It is genuinely wild how many seasoned, million-miler travelers are getting caught in this blank page trap this year. They fly constantly, they know the ropes, but they don't realize that a nearly full passport is now a massive red flag at the ticketing counter. But even if your math is perfect and your passport is completely pristine with 50 blank pages, there is still one more massive hurdle. This is the number one reason I see passengers crying at the gate in 2026. It has nothing to do with expiration dates or physical damage, and everything to do with how you type your name on a keyboard. The trap that is catching even the most meticulous planners off guard comes down to exactly what you type into that little passenger name box when you book your flight. For years, if you went by Matt instead of Matthew, or if you dropped your middle name on your airline profile to save time, it wasn't a big deal. A human gate agent would look at your ticket, look at your passport, see it was obviously you, and wave you through. Those days of human common sense are officially gone. Welcome to the era of absolute, ruthless biometric matching. The new 2026 automated e-gates and the algorithms powering Europe's ETIAS and the UK's ETIA don't have eyes or a brain. They only read the machine-readable zone, that block of text and chevrons at the very bottom of your passport page. Here is exactly how this plays out at the airport. When you swipe your passport at the kiosk, the computer runs a split-second cross-reference between your passport chip, your digital entry permit, and your airline boarding pass. If those three databases do not match down to the absolute letter, the system kicks you out. It is a hard, automated denial of boarding. I spend half my week untangling this exact nightmare for travelers who are stranded at the check-in desk. The most brutal victims of this are newlyweds. You get married, you update your driver's license to your new married name, and you book your romantic honeymoon flights under that new name to celebrate. But your passport? Your passport still has your maiden name? When you show up to the airport, the automated system sees two different humans. And because of post-Real ID security mandates, you cannot just show your marriage certificate to the gate agent to bridge the gap.